Brenda lost her light and now she's searching in the dark. Kids taken away like a thief in the park. Husband locked up for the words that he spoke. Starting over now with a heart that won't choke. She wakes up each morning with tears on her face. Dreams of her family, they're all she can trace. Fighting on through the shadows with barely a friend. Building up hope that this nightmare will end. Bring back Brenda, she's not giving in. Lost all she had, but she's wearing a grin. Stronger than steel, she's got fire in her eyes. Bringing back Brenda, oh, she's reaching for the skies. Went to the courts with her heart in her hand. Told them the truth, said she's taking a stand. Every single day it's a battle to survive. In the name of love, she'll fight to revive. Bring back Brenda, she's not giving in. Lost all she had, but she's wearing a grin. Stronger than steel, she's got fire in her eyes. Bringing back Brenda, oh, she's reaching for the skies. Every night she whispers a prayer to the moon. Swears that her family will be whole again soon. No more shadows, only light in the field. Brenda's heart's armor, it's her only shield. Bring back Brenda, she's not giving in. Lost all she had, but she's wearing a grin. Stronger than steel, she's got fire in her eyes. Bringing back Brenda, oh, she's reaching for the sky.
Okay, I wonder if I could turn down the volume on this. I don't know if I can. Right, they're still doing the music at the beginning. My face is up there. You just missed the song. Oh, I see the chats coming up, and I sent chats on the phone. I'm like,
You're beautiful. You're gorgeous, beautiful. Oh, you are so beautiful.
yeah. Is it started? Do I go? I think they left me all here just by myself. Okay,
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm just gonna go.
No, rock on, Brenda. You go
Okay.
ahead. You're on.
Yeah, and hey, this morning I was thinking about telling my story a little bit to get started, and so we're gonna start from. I don't know if you want to start from the beginning, but I can tell you our horrors with CPS started years before that with the Fusion Exchange Bulletin, and the first one that we had, it came out of the state of Maine, and it was actually after there was an attack of law enforcement on us on the roadside over a simple video exchange gone wrong. And it was very strange because that's why I always think, Brenda's all about conspiracies. You know why? Because I'm living the true conspiracy. But that's why I think Walmart has a lot to do with these problems that are going on in the country. Because when I went to exchange this video camera, which I had prior authorization to do, the manager that told me that over the phone wasn't there that day. And then I had to give the girl the license since I didn't have my receipt with me or whatever. And then she types in everything off my license. She's like, I'm not going to be able to do anything, Stage. And I'm like, what? And so I pretty much was pretty pissed off because I went like all the way to a different. I went to Brewer, Maine when I was living in Old Town, Maine. So it was quite the distance. It happened to be my birthday in 2012, and it seems like things like usually pretty drastic things happen on either holidays or any of my kids' birthdays. And so this was the knowing. This was actually not just having the paranoia that like law enforcement was watching us, that it actually came true that day. And when and also you can see that video. I think Chris still has it on his, goodness gracious, I think that's the Rogue Journalist Wars channel, but it shows the attack by law enforcement on the roadside. Chris was put in a chokehold. I go to get out of the car to say, what's going on? Because I had my two youngest children in the back seat with me. My son, who was in pre-med at the time, he was in the front seat. And we were like, I'm like, what is going on? The whole car was shaking. You know, I got out with my, of course, we didn't have the regular camera, because what happened was I'm like, well, screw this. The lady already went through my camera box and said everything was fine. So I picked up the new camera, left my old one, and walked out the door. That's the reason the cops pulled us over down the road. But in any case, we were wondering, why wasn't he getting out of the car? Why wasn't he getting out of the car? And come to find out, he was getting some information in. I don't know if they tag it to your license plate or what have you, but what happened is they were letting this officer know that we had a terrorist hit on us, unbeknownst to us, because we never committed a crime in our life. And Chris was law enforcement specialist, a veteran of the Air Force. In fact, at that time, I think he still had his private investigator license. Like, he went for about 6 or 7 years in the state of Maine with a private investigator license and bonded. So it was very strange that we'd be treated by law enforcement this way, you would think. But I'm telling you guys, we learned it early in life. Very sad. Yeah, we learned early in life that they don't like people that put things up on YouTube. They try to get information out that there's bad things going on in the government, there's bad things going on with our DCF, there's bad things going on all over the country. You know, I know we don't, we focus a lot on, you know, CPS, Department of Children and Families, and we focus a lot on law enforcement on the CPS show. Only because we're finding fault and crimes within those particular organizations. I mean, you can have crime in any profession, you know, doctors and stuff like that. But teachers, you know, you're hearing a lot about the teachers today, which also would involve our children. But as far as education goes with our children, is we homeschooled our three oldest that are doctors that graduated top of their class. We also homeschooled our two youngest, and they, in this video, they are in the car. They're in the back seat right there. That was our Jeep Patriot. They also didn't like that we had a Jeep Patriot, and that's the same Jeep Patriot that we lived in Maine, and then we went to Florida with that. And to fast forward, I know, like, I have a problem because of my post-traumatic stress disorder that boom, boom, I'm talking about this and that, and then I go from here to there and nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. But I can tell you the truth, it's just like in this particular video, you can hear the officer say he's got a terrorist hit on him. I mean, it's not this video. I mean, there's this is like a shortened version of it, but when we got the discoveries to this case, I mean, Chris ended up getting like some misdemeanor charge. I think it was resisting arrest, when he knows all the moves from law enforcement. He knows that they want him on the back of that car because their camera is going to pick up everything. In fact, this is from one of the second cop that came in. And eventually he knew that they were trying to get him into the ditch off the cameras, and there it goes. And then the second officer gets on his back, jumps up and down. That officer that originally had Chris in the whole chokehold, he's like twisting my wrist because I was taking pictures with it was like an old school phone. So I pretty much just could take pictures with it. So that's why he was twisting my wrist, took me and forced me to get back into the car, back seat with the kids. The kids are screaming, seeing what's happening, and they're like, I'm like, don't worry, we didn't do anything wrong. I'm trying to reassure them. My daughter with autism, she's like, what are they doing to my daddy? Those assholes, she said. I'll never forget that. In fact, we have that on one of the tapes. But it's like, now see this guy? This guy was supposed to bring the water that I had just given him over to Chris. And he doesn't get, because Chris is dying, it's hot in there. It's July. Okay, look he took the water and he put it up in the front seat, acting like, oh, this is my water. So if the other officer is turning around and looking, what does he see? Oh, he empties out the water. So Chris is still dying of thirst back there. Look at the grin on his face. Because why are they acting that way? It's not because he knew us from the street or something like that, or he knew anything about us. He's reading a false fusion exchange bulletin that is stating that we are some type of threat to law enforcement. Why? Because of Chris's films. I never had anything to do with Chris's films, and people tend to think this entertainment, as crude as it might be, or what have you, it's still in the lines of entertainment. I mean, what do people like to watch on TV? He's trying to figure out something in his head. What is popular? As you can see across the country, everybody wants to know more and see more about, people being ran over with a truck, like what truthfully happened in New Orleans. I mean, it's sick. It's a sick society that we're living in. But these are the types of things that people want to see. They don't want to see people that are crying about their kids, because it's sad. You got to admit, it's pretty sad, and that's what I hate to be. I hate to be that person that's crying and saying, I don't know what to do. But that's why, in upcoming shows, we're going to talk about how do you get through this, how do you get through these, and how do you have these coping mechanisms. But this state trooper that's on the side, I know we were talking about state troopers last night. He's the one that slammed the door on my daughter's head because she's sitting right there on the left in the back seat. And I didn't find that out till later, that she told me that this had happened. So what I did, even before I got the discoveries to this case, to know that we had any type of target on us or anything, we were just like, whoa, this is like crazy. This is over a camera exchange. Like, there was 8 officers surrounding us on this busy highway. So I called up the state troopers station. It's across from the university in Orono. And that's where this particular officer was. And I'm saying, I was wondering if I brought my daughter down. See, he's recording right there. He's Mr. Joe Rogue Journalist Wars. He's being a reporter. He's wondering why it took 20 minutes and the officer's still not coming out of the vehicle. That's what he was wondering. And you can look at some of those other videos, and it has, it's a long video. I'm telling you, because he's like, and he's using bad language. What are you going to do? You're being, being bullied and pushed around by law enforcement and you didn't do anything wrong, he's like, get off me, get off me. And look at this, I'm saying, what the fuck's going on? That's what I'm talking about. He's holding on my wrist right there. He's holding on my wrist. See, you can't really see it from the camera. I mean, this was a real piece of shit. His name was Levi Seawall, and I think that's what you can look up on YouTube on some of those other videos. But I would say that was the beginning of our nightmare. And I can tell you also that if you ever get into politics, like Chris did, he ran for legislator twice in Maine. We started seeing the dirty deeds. I mean, one time he was backed completely by the Republican Party. And you can see back then in 2012 how these Democrats and whatever. Or actually, it was a little bit before that, a little bit before this happened. But in actuality, we were on our way to. The next day was our plans. We were going out and doing that. Alex Jones. It was an Alex Jones contest where you go hang up these Obama dictator posters. And God knows if they knew that, but it seems like anytime we try to do something like big like this, we're getting arrested, which would get to, all the stories in Maine after this, because this was not the only incident in Maine, but I can tell you that I had FBI knocking on my door with law enforcement, and they were all concerned about Chris's videos on YouTube. Like, that was their main concern. And when the FBI realized what Chris was doing and like what audience he was trying to attract, because he wasn't using, I know they say social media. Chris will go on and on saying he didn't believe YouTube was social media, because at that time, there's nobody commenting on your things. There's nobody, he's not communicating with anybody. He's using it as a broadcast network, which I think originally is what YouTube was all about. And whatever technology was happening out throughout all these years, he was always there. I mean, we always had a computer ever since I can remember. I mean, we met at 14 to 15, but I mean, he was like doing films all his life. And I don't see how people want to twist his films into some type of reality, because I mean, you have Quentin Tarantino. He makes some pretty out there films, but when you don't have a lot of money and you're on a fixed income, what can we do as far as getting our stuff out there? And that's the way he was doing it. And he eventually wanted to make a movie. If y'all ever seen that older movie called Network, okay, it's about some guy just going around saying we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. And it was on the same premise that he wanted to do, these things. So, like I said, that is pretty much the beginning of our story and the first actual encounter that I felt that my kids may be, in jeopardy. Like they were in jeopardy at that time, but I never could imagine what would happen after this. And I'm just going to go back and say one more time, it all has to do with parents that are being targeted. They're being targeted by Department of Children and Families, by law enforcement helping them. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on it, Danielle, but it was like, I'm just trying to it would take forever for me to tell you guys my whole story, but I think I have to start out in Maine because that's where the original problem started. And then when we moved out of Maine, then we thought even
Did they follow you out of Maine? Like, it followed you out of Maine? Did it follow you out of Maine?
That's what I wanted to tell you. Like, if you tried to Google Fusion Exchange bulletin, it's not going to come up. If you Google Fusion Exchange centers, this is what I'm talking about. This is where these bulletins come out of. It's a law enforcement I think it's the same as like in Florida, it would be FDLE, the top law enforcement, whatever it happens to be in your state. They'll share information from state to state. So the
kind of like an NCIC or something, like the database.
I'm sorry.
Is it like the database? What is that?
Your voice is breaking up, Danielle.
Hold on.
Now what they're showing, okay, he's trying to show it a little bit fast forward. Okay, see, Darren, this is fast forward, but in any case, this is when I tried to rescue my daughter after TPR, in Charlotte County, Florida, and that's the house where she was at, right there, Hemingway Avenue. This lady, who is Haitian, not even from this country, picking the worst possible pictures to put up of us, I'm sure. But she, it was literally a pigsty in that house. Like, this is where my daughter is being fostered after she was pulled away from my son when they were both staying in Alachua County. They were placed together for a little while, but the lady said, oh, she was going to stop fostering, and she said my daughter was a little bit too much, and that I think that was why she actually decided to stop. After my boy is 2 years younger than my daughter, that's autistic stage, and he literally helped them build the pool that we probably, it was funded by CPS. And my little boy, 10 years old, is helping them build the deck for their pool. But in any case, after that, my son had to go back to Lake City where he originally started. And I don't know if that's my husband beeping me because, I'm telling you, it's too much of a story, but it's just way too much, guys. It's way too much. But after we did everything that CPS, we're kind of fast forward a little bit so you guys can get an idea. But we moved to Florida in 2014. In 2015, the program that like a lot of states have, I mean every state has a program that would help you like weatherize your home. In Florida, it's like they have a super duper program because of the house that we bought. And people might ask, like, why did we move so much? We flipped a lot of houses, me and my husband. That's what we pretty much did. We'd live in the house, fix it up, sell it, make, and then move on. But this particular house that I'm talking about in Florida, the sheriff's son, that my husband was running against the sheriff at the time that they were in the house doing all this work. This was like 2015. And we were witnessing some weird stuff going on. I mean, we were letting these workers in our house every day. We actually ended up all this weird stuff going on. We did a little research about the people that were in our house. Come to find out, they weren't licensed or contract to do plumbing, which they were in there for. They weren't licensed electricians. They were all criminals, drug heads or something. It was like unbelievable. So, we voiced our concerns about that. And when they kept putting like things to harm the children, like for instance, they broke a fluorescent bulb in the children's room. They put like insulation under my daughter's bed, like that poison sawdust that you can get off of those pre-treated wood. Like they left it out on the patio. My daughter's over there playing in it. It's just like it was like a nightmare. And so Chris started taping this stuff. He started taping it, and then the only way he knew how to get it to law enforcement, because they never, like, we'd call for service saying, hey, this is what's happening. Would we send somebody out? They'd be like, no, it's a civil matter. It's a civil matter always. And finally, Chris sent a video of this guy just like busting down our wall. And the only way he knew how to share that, because we don't know how to do it. Like, we were all new to TikTok recently and all that stuff. We didn't know how to do any of that crap. And so he sent it through a link on his YouTube page. And that's when they started noticing Chris's stuff on the American Patriotism channel. And it's not being very kind to law enforcement, because he talks about police brutality. He talks about, things that can be done across the country to try to reduce police brutality and stuff like that. I mean, these were things that, like, he's worked on for a number of years, because I don't know, he just seemed to have the knack of like a national security level type situation, like using a probability analysis to how to reduce violence across the country. Like, especially, it really started after that first shooting, I would say, in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where everybody's like, it's an isolated incident. This is like, no, this is going to be a widespread problem. I mean, like, way back then. That was, good Lord, that was in 1990 something.
In a way, it was like he was trying to make it like a safer, like trying to cut down.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, he applied for Department of Justice programs and FBI. So we actually had, like, when we were living in Jonesport, Maine, still, this is back in early 2000, when he was, like, running for a legislator, and he was putting his applications in these different places. And when you apply for a position like that, you're going to have the FBI or whoever they are. They'll come to your house, they do a whole interview, ask all these personal questions, and then you have to give them family members' names, and they'll go question those people too. So, in my opinion, that's another beginning of a problem there, because
was it?
They don't want somebody good going into this positions, I guess. I don't know. But they did everything they could to, like, destroy any chance of him getting employment like that, so
what do you think?
Easier to say,
What did you think started that? Was it the videos on YouTube, or was it just?
See, that's what I'm not sure of. Is it the fact that that, or with our nonprofit organization that we had, the National Advisory, we would call different places like the White House, and we would call places like FBI or something like that, say, hey, we have a probability analysis. We'd like to share it with you of whatever happened to be current events at that time, like what was going on in the news. You've got the Boston bomber, something like that, which is another whole weird story. But I'm going to try to focus on, like, the kids stuff more, but I'm just trying to give everybody the realization of, like, why it started. So I think it was a combination of calling the White House, for one thing, and Chris's videos, because when we got that the secondary bulletin I'm talking about, the Fusion Exchange Bulletin, was actually, I still have a copy of it. I believe somebody was trying to do us a favor by sending it to us, because it's law enforcement sensitive. No, citizens aren't supposed to get it. Whoever provides that to a citizen, it's a felony charge. Wow. And when I called, like, Florida Department of Law Enforcement about it and saying, hey, this has a false information about me and my husband on it, it would take things from my husband's YouTube films and put it in there, like, this is what he believes. Like, he's dressed up as the Joker or Captain America or something like that, and somehow they think this is some type of reality.
Wow.
But
so it's like fabricating something just to start something with y'all. That's crazy. That's
exactly bad. So, and like I say, I think it has a lot to do with a movie Chris made. It was called Stupidly, which actually is a pro law enforcement video. I think that's still on YouTube, maybe on Rogue Journalist Wars, but it was it showed different clips because Chris didn't usually like go into the videos himself until like years later. He would show clips from news like Obama, there's this stuff, burning down, all this stuff was going on. So he'd made like a collage and saying that Obama acted stupidly, because I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember this, but back some years ago, Obama called the law enforcement, said they acted stupidly. So Chris turned it around and said, well, Obama is the one acting stupidly. So I think when you're reaching out to these top people, calling up and saying, hey, you're doing these things wrong, that we've got a better way to do it, that's where your target is.
Yeah,
is
that,
because of that, some of my phone calls is the reason that FBI was knocking on our door. Wow. And we also have a video of that, because they said they didn't want their faces on the video. It was Glenn Barnes, an FBI agent, as well as a deputy that came in. Speaking of robes, it was so funny because Chris, this is who's at the door, and Chris, we're just like, he's walking around in his robe, and he's like, well, tell him to come in, Chris is always very friendly. He's not he's not the type of person that's like, get out of here or something like that. I mean, obviously it's raising some concerns, but all he's thinking about this is an opportunity for him to pretty much tell a story or something.
Right.
But
they took it a little bit further,
Yeah, exactly.
They pushed it a little bit too far. I'm sure he thinks that he didn't do nothing right. Is that him?
That's him there. Now, this is some of his he did on TikTok, and in actuality, he's made like quite a few predictions of what's happening in the country right now. I mean, literally is happening. And he had this whole idea for a plan for Israel too. In fact, he went to Israel some years ago, and he had talked to, when it was President, it was actually Barack was prime minister at that time. It was
FBI. It's time for us to pull a death
warrant. He just was in videos, like just.
I want to see every one of them.
As a, wow.
Well, now I'm not going to say what that was like what the old ones were, but after the kids were taken, this is what you're getting. You're getting a more sinister type thing where he's actually putting together, like eventually he wanted to put all these clips together and do a film like The Network, where the world's going to hell. And the guy says, we're mad as hell, we're not going to take it anymore. And he throws a television out the window. So that was the premise of making it. And he was going to call it like the Second Revolution movie. And it would talk about things like, in fact, I wondered if Darren could go to those Rogue Journalist Wars or the very earlier on American patriotism, where he's got a towel around his neck saying, talking about the TSA, and it says it's going to get to a point where Americans are going to get tired of being groped by the TSA. That's when, just kind of keeping up like all throughout the years with current events and being like kind of a goofy Rush Limbaugh or something like that, or Alex Jones. Like, I know when Alex Jones got into a lot of trouble, they said, well, his attorney said that he cannot be convicted because of his on-air performance. And that's exactly what happened to Chris, because if he's going to use a name of somebody that's actually real in the cartoon that he made, and they feel threatened about that, even though, like I say, we have a history of doing these crazy things all throughout the years. It doesn't have to do with the Third Circuit in Dixie County. I'm sorry. They think it all surrounds them. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Right. Some they think they got to be the center of attention. And
but so that is the reason why Chris is in this cartoon.
Let me ask you a question. Is Dixie talking about? Is it like be like a golden county, like they're wanting to be the role model county of maybe the state or something? I don't know,
Um,
because I know
it's a little crappy county, and if you can ask Chris Griffiths or Chris Archer,
Joe Griffiths.
whatever,
Yeah, I
you
know
can.
that.
He says that they're Ku Klux Klan over there. I mean, it's racist. It's
Wow.
I've got information actually from being falsely arrested. I get information from these people that are in jail that are saying the kids are being trafficked right out of if you look up a case called it's Benny Battle, this guy has disappeared off the face of the earth because he had went to and this was in Dixie County or right outside of Dixie County, where he went to a junkyard and he literally saw children chained up
Oh wow.
in buses, like in like gutted out school buses. And he got out of there. He went to report. There's all these witnesses that uh, were witness to that. He put this report into law enforcement in Dixie County about what was going on, and
Wow.
then like
So it was
then he disappeared.
Benny Battle Jr. Is that his name?
No,
Is that
it's
his
Billy Battle, and I can't remember how you spell Billy. It's IE or Y. I don't remember, but
Danish
his
from
last
Dixie County? Is that
yeah, Dixie County, Florida. Yeah.
we
I
got
don't know
it.
if it would come up, but
How old was
this
the
is the
boy?
type of stuff I was talking about. And the thing is that the house that I was telling you guys about that
Mhm.
started the trouble in Florida, I believe, because in fact, it wasn't even, it was months after they were finally finished with our property, is that the children were taken. You have somebody coming into your home knowing that we homeschool, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a call from the Department of Education questioning if I'm going to test my kids through their I can't remember, it was that Iowa Basics. I can't remember what the test is, okay? But they said, are you part of an accredited homeschool program, right? And I said, well, my program is I homeschool 3 doctors, you know, and we don't, like, unless you can give me the test to give my kids myself, no, I'm not going to hire a licensed teacher to give the test to my children. I said, you know,
Right.
that's our program is, hey, I homeschool 3 doctors. Thank you. You know, we don't, you know, and there's a reason behind why we do that. Especially, you know, when we started doing homeschooling our kids, our parents were like, oh my God, they're not going to get the social and all this other stuff. There's so many things bad about it. But I mean, I say my oldest son is 40 now, and then my daughter is 39. They're up in New Hampshire, but literally they started pre-med before they turned 18.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean, before they even, yeah, they were way ahead of the game.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
but to have somebody like come in and question, you know, your ability, and we were registered with, and each state is different. Like I say, we've lived in several different states, New Hampshire to Maine and all this other stuff, but we were always registered with the Department of Education as a homeschooler, and that's pretty much all that's a requirement. Now some states will actually provide books through the school where you can borrow their books, and which is great. I think that's a great thing. Florida didn't have anything like that. Like, no, you know, no, they're not helping in any way, but I mean,
Out of all the states you've been to, like that you lived in, which one was probably the more easier one to deal with rather than others? Like which one was your hardest one and which was your easiest one? Like easier.
I would. That's what I say. I think Florida would have had been the hardest because, like my oldest kids, we were in Ohio, we were in Maine, but it's like they were also places that provided the curriculum. And then at the end of the year, you just like pretty much you just put together this is what we worked this many hours on this,
Yeah.
and this is what we're doing throughout the day. This is our schedule.
Yeah.
This is we're going to do history on this day and all this or whatever. So you pretty much just put together a little portfolio for each child is what you're going to do, which was very simple. I mean, New Hampshire actually, it wasn't even that much. It was just like, okay, that's good. And never heard from them again. That's why, New Hampshire's live free or die, and I'm really regret ever moving away from there because we were in the mountains, and
The mountains.
yeah, it was great. It was great.
Mountains
But
are-
that's what I think is that those people that were doing the work on the house, they gave a report to the Department of Education, and then everything was a downward spiral from there. And because I noticed after that incident and after the kids were taken, they're saying, oh, we contacted the Department of Education and they're not part of a accredited school program, homeschool program. And I'm like, wait a minute, because I have a paper that says I'm registered and everything.
And where was that in again? When that happened?
I'm sorry?
What state was
Now
that
this
in?
is Florida. It's back to Florida because
They're questioning you.
yeah, they were, and like I said, it was, and that's why we were talking about last night, maybe even after the after chat, is these commissions to these little towns, the commissioners, there, and it's all, again, you follow the money. Who's making money off of the that particular program? Who's making money off the kids? And everything, I believe, in a town, as I've witnessed, is it gets back to the town commission. And if you have a corrupt commission in that town, you're going to have corrupt law enforcement. You're going to have all that. You're gonna just have and you're moving into a little town, and all of a sudden you say, oh, I'm running for sheriff. No, people don't do it. I'm warning you, do not do it.
It's like they don't like I've lived in a town before where they didn't like outsiders coming in, and it was a small town. I mean, I didn't stay there long because it was just not. They just did not like nobody from the outside coming in and trying to do something. And you couldn't even go to the grocery store without getting looked at. Like, and it's like, I was just doing a job.
That's how it started out. Is like we noticed, like somebody like a cop would be tailing our back, and I'm telling you all this before pretty much within a year before the children were taken, they put 2 trespass orders on me and my husband. One was for the county attorney's office. The county attorney that I'm sorry, in Florida. Yeah.
In Florida, okay.
Yeah. So and it was weird because the situation was you know how they take those buildings when some like election time is there, and they'll take an empty building and throw up a bunch of posters like Trump signs, and you just figure that place is an election site, or what? Not an election site, like a campaign place, right? Well, this particular building where the county attorney was at, he it was like his sign was way over on the other side of the parking lot. So we were going around getting signatures for Chris to be on the ballot for sheriff, because if you get it like 1,000 signatures, I think it is, then you don't have to pay a certain amount of money. Right. So when I was going to get a signature there, because I thought it was a Republican site or whatever, when I went in, I'm like, the lady didn't sign, but she's like, oh, this is a law firm. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize. Sorry. I was showing her like my Trump card. I had a Christmas card from Trump. And she's like, oh, I got one too. So it was like a very friendly transaction. But then once I left there, and like it's like a half hour to get home, we've got law enforcement knocking on our door saying we're being trespassed from the county attorney's office. I'm like, what the fuck? And Chris was never even he was never even part of that. He was never in the building. So how are you going to put a trespass on somebody that
Right.
wasn't even in the building?
So
Then, not shortly after that,
Wow.
the Dixie County Advocate, I can tell you, I got all the newspapers throughout all those years and recent newspapers, because this lady has a relative that's in the deputy, is like a deputy for the sheriff's department, and wants to put the most cruelest, god awful things on the front of her newspaper, because God forbid we're the only news that Dixie County has. Even now that we're living in Louisiana for 6 years, we're still the only news that they have, as distorted as their news is. Chris said, and maybe, gosh, guys, we can look this up, because that Gainesville news, Chris said that he was on that news, but I haven't got Gainesville. What is it? WJ. I'm trying to think.
Like here, let's see.
Because I can't.
How long ago was it?
And I'm wondering, why isn't Chris getting any press? That's my concern, because it's almost like they're trying to make him disappear off the face of the earth, and we never existed. You know, because we're trying to fight for our kids and expose these crimes that are going on with Department of Children and Families. I mean, Chris was a private investigator. It's like in our blood to like find these faults in things and expose them. I'm sorry.
You think you said something about the press? You think you can get in touch with them to go out to them where he's at?
Well, the thing is that what I'm trying to tell you about this particular thing, I think they're corrupt as well, because in 2016 they did a story on us, which you can't find on the interweb anymore. And it was like they were making fun of the Joker thing too. Like he's a Joker, he's a smoker, he's allegedly a midnight toker or something like that. And that was like their little joke. But when I come back and say, hey, now my children are taken, are you going to come back and do another story? You know, and they're like, I never get any response back. Never. But I heard that they did something in regards to Chris's sentencing. And I mean, that's what these news places do, but they're only going to have what's ever in the record. They're not going to have the truth. So why don't you want to talk to the family, get the truth about the story and what exactly is going on? I'm wondering if I got that. I don't know. One day I'll pull that up, and maybe you guys can help me get a hold of these people, because his name is John. Oh my gosh, I can almost remember it. But I got my old, let me see, news. I'm going to see if I can find it right here. Use contacts. And I even have the number for like that Steve Ducey, and I still have his number that's on Fox News. I just leave messages there if I can't get a hold of him. I did talk to Steve Ducey.
Emails too. I mean, emails will get to him.
See, I was like, that's why I was always like old school. We always wanted to pick up the phone and do things the simple way, blah, blah. And people don't like that. People in the government do not like you calling there. I can tell you that. And I swear to gosh, if I tried to call the courthouse, I can't do it over in Dixie County. The phone that I use regularly, they blocked that phone for me calling.
They got the number blocked.
That's where my husband is. At least they let me talk to him. But yeah, it's just like and the same thing with not only courthouse but the sheriff department. They have blocked my number from the sheriff department.
Wow.
And when I started getting my court media from the children's case, like I was getting, because you guys, like, listen, another thing I want to tell you, if you want to get your court media, which is the cheapest way to get all your hearings, you can do it. I mean, I'm sure every state is different, but they have a real easy thing. You request the media, they send it to your phone. You have to download it within 3 days. And you have to do that within 10 years. Otherwise, that stuff's going to be gone. So if you don't have, like if your case has gone on for a long time and you don't have that, I would recommend getting it, because you can get quite a bit with like $25. I know that's how it is in Florida.
Now, what is it? Say that again.
It's kind of like having a transcript, but it's cheaper. It's just the film of the court, like whatever, like you're going to TPR, they film that, right?
Right.
So yeah, I got my TPR hearings, and you can do it
like a tape.
tapes.
A tape of it.
And I'm telling you, it's better than getting a transcript because you can see the emotions of people,
Yeah.
the attitudes of people, like those, Department of Children and Families attorneys. My gosh, it's just
You
like it
can see
really
when they're
shows
like talking, when they're
their
talking.
mind.
Yeah, I bet. And the way their persona is, their demeanor, the way their behavior, they talk
Yeah,
about us emotions in CPS. Like, geez, I mean,
exactly.
we're not supposed to let our emotions get involved, but look at them, and I understand. I see what you're saying because that is true, and
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that for my case because to get the tape, like the
Yeah, and as long as you have the date, so if you have your dates of when your hearings are, they'll pull it up. And
they might
I
try
mean,
to tell me it's non-existent, but I know that's that's a lie.
well, that's what happened with our visitation tapes. Every
Oh,
time we
really?
visited the kids in Gainesville,
Uh-huh.
it was taped. We weren't allowed to go outside. We were subject to be in this little room, and my kids were a little bit bigger. They were like 10, 12, and
And in a
it was
room, the whole visit for how
focusing for little,
long?
even though they had like a sprinkler outside and outdoor activities, weren't allowed to do that because they had to tape everything we
Wow.
fucking said.
Wow.
And do you think we ever got a copy of any of those tapes? No,
Probably not.
because
No.
you know why? The kids are reporting that they're being punched. They're showing bruises to the camera. My daughter was burnt, like
Oh, in
her
CPS
mouth was
custody? In
dry
foster
ice.
care? In
I'm sorry.
foster care? In foster care?
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
wow. In
And my son was punched on the bus. All that stuff. Even though they did put that in a report about him getting punched on the bus, but it's like you go in. I'm telling you, Lake City, Florida is it's a bad town. I mean, you're taking my son into a really nice residential community or whatever, like out in the country community, taking him to Lake City where they have all these problems with gangs. I think it's like the highest problem with gangs in, at least in Florida. I know that.
wow.
And you're throwing him on a public school bus, a little white kid. I mean, come on, give me a break, and that's the thing, is they're throwing your children into different cultures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially if your child's autistic, like you say,
Yes.
you have your son that's autistic and have
Mhm.
these different issues, delay issues. My daughter was very confused by that because she's
My
like,
son was, he was,
you're, my mom was white, and I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand this. Like, you're not my real mama, because and she was the one. Like, and in fact, I don't know if I ever sent Darren that tape. I think I still have it on my Facebook, but it's my daughter's plea for help when I went to rescue her.
uh-huh.
For 2 days we spent together. Darren showed like the car going through the toll or whatever that is. That was our great attempt to try to get her to safety. And then they turned it around and said, hey, you're trying to mislead an officer, because I said, you know, they're calling me on my cell phone while this happened. Like, I kept taking my battery out of my cell phone and all this other stuff. And just so we can make some distance out of there, because in my mind, my son that was in Louisiana was already approved and certified to adopt his siblings.
Oh, wow.
So, and they were going through the process of the ICPC and all this. So in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, it's like, okay, well, I think the safest place for my daughter would be back
With
with her
your,
brother, where
right.
he's already approved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't see it that way. Uh, the lady said, when I told her there was a pigsty, that like there was nothing in the refrigerator but a powdery substance at the bottom, all these broken shelves
Oh,
in
wow.
the pantry, and
Uh-huh.
literally the kitchen was a disaster.
Ugh.
Like, they haven't cleaned it for
Oh,
I don't know how many days. Food all over the place. There was blankets all over the windows. I'm like, this is like my worst freaking nightmare. And they're saying, I know that Charlotte County Police Department went there, and when my daughter was reported missing, and they're like checking the windows and stuff like that to see if she might have. They thought she was a runaway because actually this particular foster placement, they had several children running away from there.
Wow.
And when I got my
Was it a
discoveries,
foster home? Like, was it a home? It was a
I'm
home.
sorry?
It wasn't like a facility. It was a home. So
Yeah,
I
it was
remember.
regular house. It was a regular house. And I think that what Darren was showing was the news clips from that, where it actually shows the house.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, inside it was like a complete nightmare. And she's like, "Mama, I've been waiting for you. Like, I have my bags packed. I'm ready to go." I'm like, "What the hell?" You know, and the lady that's supposed to be taking care of her, she's doing a night shift somewhere, and she
What?
ends up lying to police about the times that she was, at work because they're leaving. She's leaving the only child that didn't have delays, which was a year younger than Sage, to take care of the kids, make sure they're getting on the bus in the morning and all that stuff.
Wow.
It was a little
Wow.
girl that was doing that. It wasn't the
Wow.
foster placement.
Wow.
You know,
That's
it was pretty screwed up. And then to have her.
And how old was that kid? How old was that kid that was sitting on the bus?
Okay. So Sage was 16 at that time, so she was 15.
Oh wow! So she's still.
And then she had a daughter also that was, that was her blood daughter, the foster lady. And then she had another girl that she adopted. I think she adopted that had really severe delays, like she couldn't walk and stuff like that, and or really couldn't verbally communicate. And then, when I get all these discoveries, it really opened up a lot of avenues to how we were really screwed at the DPR, because I got this one in my discovery. I found this neuropsychological evaluation of my daughter Sage. It had been done a month and a half before our TPR hearing. It states in this that she needs to be in contact with me for her social, behavioral, and emotional well-being, and that this needs to get to the judge ASAP.
And they never.
I can tell you that never got to the judge. I never even heard this lady's name. The entire case. And they downright lied to me and told me that the evaluation ended up being done by like a regular physician, a family physician up in Trenton, which was a complete lie, because I had tried to set her up with a neuropsychological evaluation because I was trying to help out the caseworker. And then when I did that, the caseworker went on vacation and said, "Oh, they didn't have all Sage's records and they couldn't make that appointment." So I had to end up and cancel it. And my son, who's a doctor, actually helped me find, that doctor or whatever. But when she went to, this lady's name was Brooke Forrest. She's out in Fort Myers. And this was the recommendations that she gave, although, this was never even brought up at the TPR hearing. So in my mind, I'm sitting in Charlotte County Jail, looking at a prison sentence, thinking, "Oh, this is exactly what I need," because I had already appealed this not only to the Florida Supreme Court, I appealed it to the U.S. Supreme Court. So right away, I'm writing things up by hand in jail and saying this is like new evidence of abuse, because my kids were not only unlawfully taken, there's proof here that the recommendations weren't followed, the judge never got this or whatever, and I thought that was my key to getting the kids back right then. And that was, the kids were taken April 4th, 2016. When I was arrested for trying to get her out of that foster placement, that was right around Mother's Day of 2019. And that's the thing, is the lady that agreed to for me to come down, because I went all the way from Louisiana to Charlotte County to go visit my daughter, because this foster lady was doing it without the permission of the department. She knew that, we really cared for Sage and stuff, and she invited me to come down. So it wasn't like I wasn't invited. And then, of course, she changed her story after that. But the thing was, is I don't know if she had planned what her plan was, because when I got there, Sage opens the door and says, "Oh yeah," and that's what I said. That's what she said is, "Mom, I've been waiting for you." And that lady wasn't even anywhere to be seen. So I kind of waited and thought about things, but then I did come back and I got her, and I'm like, "Sage, let's go," and she's like all excited about it. And they're also saying like that she had some type of verbal problems and stuff like that. She never had anything like that when I had her. And they're also saying something's wrong with her hands. Sage likes to play act. Okay, she likes to play characters. She's a lot like her dad, right? She likes to act or whatever. Or like some kids like to play house, where she likes to like act out shows that she likes or something. Okay, you're gonna be like, for instance, that when that Gotham show was very popular, of that Gotham show, and
Yeah.
she would say, she'd always be the Penguin and make my son be like Harvey Dent or whatever it was, and he's like, I don't want to be that character. But in any case, that's what I think was going on. Like they're saying the thing is she's got a problem with her hands. No, she's just being a little, either being a little shit, or she's acting out something, because they were saying she can't carry a glass of milk in the kitchen to the dining table without dropping. And I'm like, oh, this girl's probably sitting there like, okay, bitch, pick that up, because that's like the way she is. Like, and that's why I think they initially separated my son and my daughter, was because you're not going to manipulate Sage in any way, shape, or form. And because she has autism and she's very aware of things, and when she likes something, she's very good at it. If she doesn't show interest in it, it's just not going to happen. And so that's why she was the first autistic child I had. So her learning abilities were like way behind. But as far as functioning through it, just a regular day. I mean, that's why I always turn back to Elon Musk has autism. You're not going to treat him like he's a retard, are you? Like, seriously, they're treating my child like she's really bad off, and she's not. She's very smart, and they criticize us for saying that she's smart. Because she is smart. I don't know what they want to say. A child that has autism and has delays can be very smart. I'm sorry.
Very smart. Very smart.
But since my son was a little bit younger, he was easier manipulated. And I can tell you, the fact is that when me and Sage had these couple days together, and I was asking her, when's the last time you've seen your brother? Because they're supposed to see each other every other week, right?
Yes, they are.
And he was
My
telling
son
me,
hasn't got to see his sister in 2 years.
I haven't seen Chris in a very long time, probably about the same last time I seen you, which, God forbid, that was in 2017, right?
No.
That was Christmas time, 2017.
Mhm.
So they all seem to be stuck on this one date, and I looked it up because they're trying to say my kids visited on that day. They even lied about that, like on a certain day. I found out from the school, because they didn't have any record of her being checked out for that day, so there's no way they would have visited that day. So it was a whole lie. Even they got my son involved in that lie, that my youngest son, saying, oh yeah, I see my sister on this day. But it's not true. And she told me, she's like, Mom, something's wrong with Chrissy's head. I'm like, what are you talking about? Something's wrong with Chrissy's head. And she said, I don't know, Mom, but he's just not right. And she can sense that there was something wrong with him. I don't know if they drugged him. I don't know if they just fully manipulated him. I don't know if they've told him that your parents are dead, if your parents are in jail, because they used to do that. They used to tell my kids that we were in jail, and we were not in jail. And they would take our visits away and stuff like that, But yeah, so I mean, I think we did a pretty good job. We got at least. I mean, how long has it been? It seems like I've said a lot, and it hasn't been that long, has it? Or is?
Well, it's been over an hour. No, you actually got you said it's been a little bit over an hour. But I don't know how long that you. I know we usually do an hour, but we can stop right here, and then you having another show? What days are you going to be on? Surely you're
Well,
not just doing today, Brenda. Surely you were bringing back Brenda for more than one day, right? Like you're
yeah,
going to be
well,
on.
I was saying maybe we could start Fridays um to start, but I mean, I'm willing to do more. I just that I have like so much to think about with my husband right now, and trying to figure out like what's the next steps we got to take with him. Um, and I mean, because it's just like unbelievable because we've got this far and we've paid. You know, my son graciously helped us pay for this attorney throughout his case. This is the first time I've ever hired an attorney,
Wow.
and but now we're getting to the point where we're wondering, did they just drag this out in order to make more money on an appeal? Well, the fact is the money's out. So it's sad, but we've got this far, but it's kind of like I'm wondering if I could even get some type of job or some kind of raise some kind of level of monies to get a really good attorney for Chris because maybe all this stuff could be exposed, you know? But if I have an attorney that doesn't want to get into the facts that my children were abused by a judge that are now on the witness stand saying that her life is ruined because of Chris's form of entertainment, that she is always having to look over her shoulder, and that over and over again they said that he ruined her life. I mean, that's just paranoia right there. I mean, so she's the one with the mental issues, I would say. Or she's hiding a lot of guilt, or she's harboring a lot of guilt for what she did. I don't know, but it's my husband has there was no credible threat. Okay, there's no, and the attorney is just flabbergasted that we have because he's like, the judge, it's never was removed from the Third Circuit. The judge is friends with the other judge that's overseeing the case. And what do you think's going to happen if it's never going out of that circuit and you believe that he's threatening a judge when in actuality he's done shit like this, you can perceive as threats if you perceive them to be real. But if you look at it as entertainment, or maybe the shock value of trying to say, us coming on here, with our sad stories, that's not going to get as many views as somebody that's doing a bizarre cartoon, or just has like maybe a distorted way of expressing this through film or whatever. It's what gets the views, I can tell you that. And that's what I don't understand is why is the Third Circuit and this judge so upset, because there's literally nobody else watching Chris's stuff except for them. It's true. It's like no views at all. And now it's like anything I try to post on TikTok is like usually banned right away. Even if it's just something really simple. And it's really something. I just don't get it, because it's like she doesn't have the sense in her mind to think, well, by locking up Chris for 15 years, is she's going to feel safe. But what is that doing to our family? I mean, what has that done to us? And what about the harm to the children? How do you think the children feel? You think your life is ruined.
Right.
That to me is like they're
About
just
these kids, right?
back when the prosecutor's saying that over and over again. You just can't
And
ruin somebody's life. I'm like, well, obviously they can. They've ruined how many
obviously they right.
lives?
I just wrote on that. I commented on a post on Facebook about that last night, and I was like, they were a father unalived. He unalived himself because of the situation with his kids and CPS, and if they're, and they're just they don't realize what what it does to the parents and the children. I mean, you're taking a child from a family that is, just because they may not have enough food, they still are making it. They're making ends meet. They're fine. Whatever system they have going inside that family is working. Why break that up? I mean, as long as they're comfortable and happy, what is it? What is it? Shouldn't matter. The child's not in imminent danger. There's, as long as the child's happy and there's no, even if somebody called spitefully, like an anonymous caller, no, that's still not grounds for taking a child. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
shouldn't be like that. And just for them to take a child and isolate them and put them in a facility or put them in these group homes or foster homes and just forget about them, that is wrong. And not only does it traumatize the child, look at the parents, look at the family members. I mean,
Yeah.
look
And
at
you got to
aunts,
think about
uncles,
that is like they're well, in my case, their siblings are grown adults, okay? But
right?
still, how does that affect your other children? I mean, even if they're like adult, like I
No,
said,
I'll tell you,
I've pretty much lost my two oldest because they're afraid of the whole CPS situation. They
I've
don't
got
want them interfering in their life over
right.
there in New
I've
Hampshire.
got a brother that is in my care, and he's disabled, and he's my son's uncle. So, and he'll ask me, and he'll like, sis, why ain't Bubba home? Or where, I thought he was gonna be home, and his his thinking, his short term memory is gone. Like, it's, you don't have any short. My brother, so he well, where's Bubba? And you don't. I mean, they need to think about stuff like that. You don't really think he's always been close to him. So what, like, for him to be gone, it confuses my brother.
Yes,
And my brother's like,
exactly. That's what
and he don't understand.
my doctor's son said that, people like your brother and my Sage,
Uh,
to them, like 5 years could seem like a week. You know what I
right,
mean? They're still
right.
living in
Mhm.
that good
That is,
memory.
yep.
You
And
know,
that's true.
yeah,
My brother's the same
yeah.
way. Like, sometimes I'll ask him his age or something. For like 5 years he was the same age, and finally his
Aw,
memory. I guess, and sometimes some days are better than others, but like he stayed the age of 35 for like 5 years, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting
oh,
old, but I mean that's fine, but when you're consistent with him and like steady with him and like um he'll learn. You can't just switch day to day. You have to be persistent until he learn and keep reminding him until he
yeah.
has it. Because otherwise, if you tell him something today, he'll forget it 2 minutes from now. Like,
Or
it's
what I found with Sage is like you had to keep reassuring her like a lot. Like if she'd seen something that was kind of scary on TV, and
yeah,
then like something like she'd do this to my younger son Chris too, and it would literally drive him crazy. But she'd be like zombies aren't real, right, mommy? Zombies
yeah,
aren't real, right, mommy? And like over and over again, it's
yeah,
like, oh my goodness. But
yeah,
it got to the point. It's like I miss that so much now.
yes,
Like, or you're sitting on the couch and she makes everybody get up off the couch because the cushions are messed up, and she's like, no, no, everybody off. She got to
yeah,
fix up, make sure
yeah.
the cushions are just right or whatever.
And
Um,
it's like,
then
and then when they take them from the parents and it's quiet around the home. Like, I'll tell you, I miss the
the
bitter
sound of
patterns.
silence is just will
I
literally make you crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's they don't realize what it does to these families, and
Yeah.
I bet you that if they would leave the families alone, that there will be a lot more happier, successful families in these communities, and more proud, like, more togetherness instead of
Yeah.
all this
And then maybe like
animosity.
CPS and maybe these judges wouldn't be so worried about things on their end for splitting up families. I mean, it seems like it becomes a big concern to them
Yeah,
that somebody's going to come after them I mean, we've always done everything by the law. If we were gonna if we had a beef against somebody, we're gonna take it to court. I'm sorry, we follow the law. And they even will criticize people that do that. They call you a sovereign citizen, and there's all these different types of sovereign citizen. And coincidentally enough, that's who the cops are ending up shooting dead, which we really can't figure out who these people were, because they went on some type of shooting rampage and then or something like that, and then they end up dead, and all you have is the side of the story that the police officers is giving you, and then you see all these of
your word against mine, that's
law enforcement, and it's just really sad. I mean, what's happening to those individuals that are like guards in a jail that are beating up, and they actually have film of it. And that's the concern, is the original concern that we wanted to get my husband out of Dixie County, because we have a history of letting the inmates beat up my husband, and then they stand there and watch. And like my husband, like seeing as that he was a boxer, he's law enforcement specialist, he knows like all this stuff. What he was doing happened the first time he was in Dixie County Jail in 2016, but there was two people attacking him. He literally had the guy just in a hold. Okay, he's just holding on to him until the guard got there and to report, hey, this guy is doing this or whatever. And then apparently the guard lady was somehow romantically involved with one of these inmates, and then she's like, let him go, and they just wailed on Chris. His like whole side of his face was all black, and then they put them into confinement, even though they have no I mean, they weren't the one that started the fight. They were this one that was the victim in a fight, but yet they're going to block them up for 30 days so none of their family can see how messed up they are. It's really just like, and I don't know if y'all seen that second Joker movie. I mean, it got a lot of bad reviews, but I'm telling you, it's so similar to mine and Chris's life. It's like we are living a live Joker movie. I mean, we got to get this Quentin Tarantino. It's sad but true. I mean, Lord, there's for somebody to come in and say, hey, look at all these parents that did great job raising their kids, and why are they all on the internet, telling us that all these problems. And it would be great if somebody like Trump or somebody that is way up there is going to start recognizing us, the little people.
They're listening. Well, Brenda, we probably have to start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
All right. A great show. Awesome. Good job. You did awesome.
In any case, maybe we'll try to squeeze another one in next week, but I'll definitely be here like every Friday. We're going to try for every Friday at first. And
it's going to be the same time.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing. Like if Darren thinks I mean, today took a little bit longer because he was still setting things up. But I mean, it's a beautiful thing that the CPS Punishers got going. I mean, he's giving people their own songs, and I mean, it's just amazing. It's kind of really appreciative on my end. Nobody ever did anything this nice for me as far as this type of thing goes. And it's really me and my husband wanted to do, but my husband got into such of a bad depression that we weren't able to pull it off, because like I'm telling Darren, we got microphones, we got headphones, we got two laptops, we got two big screens, we got phones, we got it all. But now we don't have my husband. So, and he's, and he wanted to bring awareness and to try to just bring awareness to this situation. And the way he did it ended up landing him in jail. But it's true that there are judges out there that are going to not realize the damage they've done to your family and turn around to think that they're the victim when, the children and the families
And
are real.
so many judges can only go by what's in front of them. Like if there's nothing, and that's a lot. I've learned a lot with like CPS and stuff. They only get what they want to give. And the parents are like just, it's crazy. I've
They always
heard
CPS discretion. When they
like
use that word discretion, you might as well say
yeah.
you're fucked. I'm sorry. Oh, but yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you all guys very much. This has been so exciting. This is like too much excitement for this old lady.
But we thank y'all for coming in, and join her next Friday at 9:30, right, Brenda?
Yeah.
Eastern time.
9 or 9:30. Yeah, we're
And
gonna
there
shoot.
you got a person right there that said they'll be ready next week to hear your story again. That's awesome.
Oh, right. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Like
share
getting
out
used
the
to
live.
I'll get used to looking at the chats too, but I'm like going
She did
10. I'm going 100
awesome for her
miles an hour
first one.
right now.
You're good. You're good. I mean, you did really good. So y'all join us next Friday, 9:30 Eastern time, with Brenda, bringing back Brenda, and as she shares her story, and we bring this to the light about these CPS workers and this child welfare system. Let's get this. Let's break the cycle. Let's pack it up, and one is tough, but a group is a lot. It's unstoppable. So let's come together, people, and let's make it happen. Brenda, you wanna?
All right.
Any last words, Brenda?
Like I say, keep yourself healthy in body and mind, because going through this for so many years, I can tell you that it can consume you very easily. So find something that you enjoy and make sure you're doing it every day. I know it's good to work on your cases and work on there, but there's got to be a point where you take time for yourself, because you're what's important in this, to keep fighting for your kids, and keep yourself healthy to keep up the fight. How about that?
Great. All right, everyone. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and we are out of here.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
CPS Punisher.
See y'all next Friday.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Good job. All right. Next Friday. I don't know where he went. Did you end it?